Hi guys, Kate here today. I'm so not a YouTuber. Okay, so I do give permission for you to share this to the public, whatever you want to do. Give it to whoever, it's whatever. This response is called the Ford Pinto. I have to describe the short-term and the long-term effects of the decisions because there was a controversy of what to do, which I will explain. Back in the 70s, gas prices were at all-time high. Americans were looking for smaller cars that were more efficient on gas and ran longer. Japan had just that. Ford wanted to create a car that would compete with Japan, since Japan's vehicles were in high demand. So they created the Pinto, which is also called the Little Carefree car. Ford wanted this car released as soon as possible, but through the test run, they noticed a problem with the design. The tank's placement was in a spot where, if there were to be a rear-end accident, the gas tank would catch on fire or splatter all the way to the driver's compartment. So it was placed on the back left end of, this is where the gas tank's placed, the back and rear of the car. So, especially being a horrible driver, I know that rear-end accidents happen all the time. So this puts the people who are driving at a high risk for catching on fire, the car exploding, other injuries. It's just not a good place to put it there. Now, nevertheless, this caused a huge controversy because although the regulations were intact, they technically did meet the requirements for the FDA to approve it. Which was so the requirements were that the tank remains intact during collisions under 20 miles an hour, which they passed with flying colors. But what about the safety? Rear-end accidents happen all the time. Are we going to look at the money aspect rather than the safety of our buyers? Is the real question. So the long term on one side, so their one option is to absolutely redesign the gas tank. And this would be $11 per car to replace it. But they're looking at to sell about 12.5 million cars would be sold. So 11 times 12.5 million, that's $135 million total to put into this car if they decided to redesign. It would still be out of the pockets buyers. It would be the $11 would be added on the price tag when they bought the car. But still, it's a lot to go through. And the short term would be that they just release this. They continue with the model without the redesign, and they release the model. The damage would only affect a few people in the following ways. So after doing the math and thinking about it thoroughly, they found out that the dangerous ways would be death by burning to 180 buyers, serious burn injuries for another 180 buyers, and 2,100 vehicles burned beyond all repair. Sounds like a lot of problems. But the question is it better for a lot of people to suffer a little or for a few people to suffer a lot? After doing the math of money lost for each side, there would be $137 million worth of suffering for Pinto drivers if they redesigned, or $49 million to keep it as is and just dish it out, and every man for himself, basically. Ford decided to send the Pinto model out without the redesign. Over the next decade, 60 people died from fire and 120 got seriously injured. But in conclusion, they didn't lose as much money as they would if they did redesign. But they still lost a lot of customers' lives, which I think is unethical. But no. In conclusion, I think that the best option would have probably been to redesign it, especially since that they're tagging it on the price tag, and $11 would be $70 today. So it's not that much money, but to give the option to a consumer of you can either pay $11 and get a more safer car, or you could just get $11 deducted, but hey, if you get in a rear end accident, it's not on me. Which one would you choose? I would give them $11 like that. What? I'd rather have the insurance and be able to drive my car without being worried that it's going to explode on me. it's not even about anymore if you're the good driver. It's about every other driver around you. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Have a good day.